What an extraordinary conversation that we just had with Heather Monahan, one of my favorite new friends that I met in 2025. She is a top 50 keynote speaker, actually speaking at one of our GoBundance women's events last year, best-selling author, podcast host, and confident creator expert. In today's unpredictable world, the ability to find opportunity in challenges is invaluable. This confident mindset and personal agency is exactly what organizations seek to cultivate in their teams, regardless of role or responsibility. With 2 best-selling books, a 20-year career in the C-suite of a multi-billion-dollar media company, and a top 10 podcast, Creating Confidence, one of my favorites, Heather provides practical strategies for leading with confidence at work and in life. Her stories inspire audiences, showing how a confident approach can turn challenges into meaningful success. So without further ado, here's Heather Monahan. Hi there, and welcome back to the Power Up Your Life podcast. I am Kelly Resendez.
And I'm Mandy McAllister.
And we're so thrilled today to have Heather Monahan with us. Just, so incredibly excited. How are you doing, Heather?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today.
Yay! Well, we're going to dig right in and just have you share a little bit of your story in just a few minutes so that the audience kind of can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. So I came up through corporate America, started in the wine business, ultimately was in sales my entire career. And after a series of unfortunate events, well, they seemed like unfortunate events at the time, they were really redirection to something so much bigger for my career, from a boyfriend cheating on me, which led me to accepting an equity partnership and moving to Saginaw, Michigan, and selling a company for $30 million in profit when I was 26 years old, to me moving to Florida to pitch myself for a job that didn't exist, VP of sales of a publicly traded media company. Stuck with them for 14 years, was promoted 3 times, named one of the most influential women in radio. And then unexpectedly, I was fired when the CEO, who I'd worked for 14 years, became ill and his daughter replaced him. And again, it seemed like one of those devastating moments that everything was going wrong, when in actuality, one door was closing because a much better one needed to open for me. And that led me to writing and self-publishing my first book, Confidence Creator, which went #1 in Donald Trump for #1 on the business biography list the first week it came out, which was wild and unexpected. And then that led me to signing with HarperCollins Leadership and writing a second book, Overcome Your Villains. That led me to launching my podcast with Podcast One back in 2019, which was just named by SiriusXM top 10 podcasts in health and wellness, which is wild. And then I started speaking during all of this. I'd spoken for 20 something years in corporate America, but I didn't realize it was a business, because oftentimes we're head down in our own industry and not paying attention to what's going on around us. And so I started speaking, and then I was named top 50 keynote speaker in the world by Real Leaders in 2022. And my TEDx took off, my speaking career took off, and I've really been speaking literally all around the world since then. And it's been an amazing ride.
Yeah, well, it's been amazing getting to know you this last year. And I think, the one thing that we think about as we want to create just an amazing life is to embody confidence. And you really do that. So break it down a little bit, because obviously I can't even imagine what it felt like to be dedicated for 14 years, right, to a company and then to be fired. How did you embody confidence and be able to take that and parlay it into the empire that you've built?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking. I really have a very step-by-step process. I detail it in my first book, Confidence Creator, and share it with you guys right now. The first thing I did was I asked for what I needed from everyone in my life at that moment, because I realized I'd hit a wall. I was devastated. And instead of shrinking back, I need to stand up and ask for help. So I told my son, go to your father, go to your nanny, go to whoever you need to right now. Do not come to me for anything. I've got to figure out this life and what I'm going to do to pay bills. And I'm in crisis mode. So you need to go to others for the foreseeable future, next week, whatever, figure it out. And then I tapped a couple people and said, hey, I need you to be on standby in case my son needs you. I need you to pick up slack for this or that. So it was the first thing I did, ask for help. and ask for what you need, whatever that may be. The next thing I did was I noticed nobody was calling me. So I said, wow, if no one's contacting me, maybe they don't know what happened. So I posted on social media, I've just been fired. If I've ever done anything to help you, I need to hear from you now. That post started going viral because back then no one talked about getting fired. That was in
Mm.
2018. And when that post started going viral, a lot of people who love me reached out to me and told me to take it down, that I looked pathetic and that no one would hire me again. And oftentimes what happens is people that love you are scared for you. They're putting their limiting beliefs on you. And so in that moment, I checked in with the one voice and opinion that will ever matter, which is your own. And I thought to myself, am I pathetic? No, a lady did not like me. I was great at my job. I did an incredible job there for 14 years. She didn't like me, so she fired me based on her personal feelings. That's not something I should feel bad about. In fact, I think I should feel good about it because I didn't really like her either. And I Googled, has anyone successful ever been fired? And Steve Jobs showed up, Oprah Winfrey showed up, J.K. Rowling showed up, the list, Mark Cuban showed up. The list went on, and it was ultimately all these billionaires. So I decided to reframe getting fired as in good company. This is my jump off point. This is like how you, wait a minute, you're a badass. If you're going to get fired, this is how you get led to where you're ultimately supposed to be. And so because I reframed it, immediately I didn't see it as a negative. I saw it as, wow, this is my jump off. This is what I'm meant to do. I don't know what that exactly looks like, but that got me to start embracing uncertainty and start moving forward and taking action steps. I created a 30-day plan. I wrote down everything I was grateful for every day. And then I would start writing down the unexpected gifts that would show up every day, like landing on the Elvis Duran show, which I didn't know was going to happen. So the more you start stepping into the uncertainty, start following the path that you're truly meant to be on and doing it with belief in yourself, tuning out the noise around you, the more momentum you pick up, the more speed you pick up, the more those doors open and your confidence skyrockets.
Wow.
Oh, and you get what you look for, right? If you're out there looking for things to be grateful for, you're going to find more of them. You're going to find more opportunities if you're looking for an opportunity. You know, I so resonate with so many things that you say. I feel like we're so aligned in our journeys. You know, one thing that happens a lot at GoBundance Women is women take these big changes from corporate America into working for themselves. And a thing that I've noticed time after time is an identity shift that's needed, right? Like the letting go of that branch of who you used to be. Talk to me, especially in this vein of confidence and the things that you're really great about. Talk to that person who really needs to let go of the branch and embrace a new identity.
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one, but I truly believe it's there for most people. For me, I did not change or update my LinkedIn profile, which LinkedIn has been probably 90% of the source of business that I've had since I went out on my own. So you'd think I'd be leaning into that, like update it, Heather, tell people what you're doing. No. And I didn't out of fear. And to your point, I was sort of still clinging on to this. Am I still a C-suite exec from corporate? Or am I really going to do this crazy unknown thing and go out on my own? And the longer I let pass, trying to hold on to both worlds because I wasn't sure. Will I let my non-compete? I had an 18-month non-compete that I had to respect legally. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll want to go back after that and compete against that company, right? I don't know. I don't have it figured out. Maybe this won't work. Well, as long as I stayed in that middle area where a friend of mine called it, it's like you're straddling across a lake and you can't get footing on either side. You're not full in energy on going back to corporate America and pursuing the opportunities. You're not all in on becoming an entrepreneur, pursuing that business and helping people. So what are you really doing? You're splitting your energy between two potential worlds, which you're half doing each, which means you're really not going to succeed at either. And when this person explained that to me, he said, I also want you to know something else. The speed and the current's going to keep picking up. So you could jump right now and go to whichever side you want, but you might not be able to in the future. And that, made it yet again, listen, done will be better than perfect. I didn't need to just go and try. Even if it doesn't work, I could go back and then figure something else out after. But what if this window doesn't exist? We never know what is going to happen in the future, tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now. I've got the opportunity to make the leap. If I really want to do this, I need to completely leap. And I remember, it is wild. When you used to Google me, I showed up as a C-suite American executive in media. And then it was within, I don't know, 30 or 60 days when you Googled me, once my book came out, I showed up as an American author. Right. And that to me was like this big moment of this is real now. Like it hadn't been real to me until then. And now if you Google me, it's like podcast host, keynote speaker. People also search for Tony Robbins, like things I could have never imagined were going to happen. But it all went back to you had to go all in on one. You had to let go of one identity, let go of that one branch, I think you called it, to say, I'm going to give it a shot. And at the end of the day, guess what? If it wasn't meant to be, I would have hit blocks, blocks, and blocks everywhere. And I would have been redirected to wherever I was meant to go. And having that level of faith is what will really unlock unshakable confidence for anybody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. Like everything like is like you've given me the chills about 5 times so far because we have such similar stories and to release that identity is such a huge part of the journey, definitely moving forward. So, just I'm sure you've been knocked down even more than just going through that. For anybody that's out here, like a lot of times we're knocked down on a daily basis. Like, how many rejections have you gotten for keynotes or just whatever it is? Like, how would you help our audience just kind of navigate that? Because, many of us feel rejection and then it stops us rather than it just propels us forward. So, what is your kind of plan for that on a daily basis?
Okay, well, I'll give you two different examples. So I came up through sales, right? I'd been selling since I was 10 years old and had a paper route. That's sales. If you're waiting tables, that's sales. If you're bartending, that's sales. I did all those things before I even went into, quote unquote corporate life. So I'd always been in sales my whole life. And one thing I knew is sales is a numbers game, right? So you might not even be the best salesperson in the world, but if you outwork everybody, you're going to close more business because you're going to have more asks.
Mhm.
So rejection just meant I was one step closer to the deal. And that's how I
Mhm.
saw rejection. I didn't see it as, oh, I'm not meant to do this, or no, because it's like anything. If you don't show up on day one, knocking the ball out of the park and then Major League Baseball, right? Like you have to go put the reps in. You have to go to Little League first and then so when you start realizing, oh, I can build this, I can get better, I can figure out ways to close, I can figure out ways that I got rejected, but maybe I can redirect this another way. And as you start seeing it's a numbers game and a practice game and you're just getting better, rejection is just part of the process. And rejection is also God's protection from what you are not meant to be with. And there are so
And
many examples where I've forced things, relationships, jobs, clients, whatever, that I'm like, no, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this because I am relentless at times, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. And then I'll get that client and the client's the biggest headache in the world that I want nothing to do with. And I end up having to fire the client, right? So sometimes the thing isn't working because it's saving you from headaches and difficulties where if you go another way, you're going to find people you are more aligned with, tables you should be sitting at, right? Another example of that is I was pitching for a seat at the board of that company that I was with for 14 years. And I was told no every quarter. And I kept pitching more and more and more and rejected and rejected and rejected. But wouldn't you know, within 2 years of being fired from that company, I landed my first paid board seat, right? And I've been with them for what is it now, 5-6 years later, and we're killing it and doing unbelievable. So you might be worth whatever your pitch is. You might be valuable enough and have the assets and talents and skill sets. You might be around the wrong people and you're being redirected away from them because there's such a better opportunity. So don't always correlate rejection with a bad thing. It could be that gift and really that redirection. Another example of that is I wanted a TEDx talk because I Googled what are the best speakers in the world doing, and they all had these TEDx talks. So I took out a Google alert. Whenever you want to get a hold of somebody, or you want to do something, take out a Google alert on it so you get notification every day of what's going on in that world. And you can become familiar, savvy, and then start reaching out and pitching yourself. And I did that, and I pitched myself for 100 TEDx, and I got no's to all of them. Was giving a talk in Miami at a place called Books and Books about my first book. And a woman came up to me after and she said, and at this point I was kind of letting it go that, gosh, they just don't, for whatever reason, they don't want me to give a TEDx. And she walked up to me at the end. She said, you should really give a TEDx. I said, you're preaching to the wrong choir because I know I should, but I can't get it. Yes. She said, tell me how you're pitching. And I said, I'm telling them what a great speaker I am, telling them about me, me, me. And what was interesting is I had lost my sales ability because I was so consumed and focused with getting this thing that I thought was going to change my business. that I forgot. Sales is always about the other person, right? And I hadn't put myself in their shoes. I hadn't thought that, oh, they're volunteers. Oh, maybe they want to sell tickets. Oh, maybe I'd help them if I promoted their event. Oh, maybe if I served and helped them bring in sponsors, I'd be more valuable. And as soon as I saw it through the lens of sales, the next pitch I had, I got it, landed my TEDx. My TEDx got promoted to TED and has done very well. So my point, I go back to your original question. Rejection can actually be protection for you, and it can be saving you from something that you are not meant for, and or it's an opportunity to reflect on yourself and say, what am I missing here in this rejection process? Is there something that I could be doing differently that could allow this to align for me? And if so, look in that mirror, take a hard look, and see how you can get better as a result from it.
I love that critical thinking angle. And especially, God's delays are not God's denials necessarily, right? So, one thing that we talk a lot about here too is entrepreneurs feel stuck sometimes. Like you come against these walls and you don't know what to do next, right? So tell me a little bit about what your actionable process is to get unstuck when you're feeling stuck.
Oh my gosh. Well, my best documented process is in my second book, Overcome Your Villains. It's a 3-part process I call it B.A.K, and I'll explain it right now. So this is a great process if you're stuck in any adversity, in any challenge. And it was interesting because one of my mentors, when I was writing my second book, said to me, make sure you share your documented process, how you get through obstacles. And I said, oh, I don't know what that is. And he's like, I'm going to challenge you. It's there because you can look at when you got cheated on and then you did the equity deal and then how you sold that company and had someone, and then how you pitched yourself for the job that didn't get, and then how you got fired and then how you bounced back. And I'm like, okay, let me see if there's a pattern. And I sat down, and this is a great exercise for everybody. Any hardships you've gone through in your life, sit down and write out what was that process that you personally went through, and then look at the similarities or differences or evolution from as you've aged, as you've encountered different and bigger things. That was the exercise I went through. And it was so clear. I whiteboarded it. And as soon as I had it written down, it was so obvious. So the first step for me starts with belief, right? Nothing is going to happen if I don't believe. So it could be anything. It could be the getting fired. We'll just use as an example. It could be getting divorced. It could be anything, but one that's a belief that this is not the end, right? It's not a wrap now. Okay. No, this belief now this could be a redirection. This could be my launch off point. Like I said, I Googled, right? So I tested my own belief. Is this true? Am I pathetic? Remember a friend had called and said that. No, that I tested that concept. No, that wasn't true to me. Okay. So test the beliefs that you're having, find out if they actually are based in truth or not. First and foremost, 99% of the time they're not, especially if they're negative. So next thing you have to say is, what could this belief be? And that's where I started creating, oh, this is my launch point. Wait a minute, I'm going to go research this and figure out that the majority billionaires in the world were fired. Wait a minute, I should be getting hyped. My belief is this is exciting. This is like my launch point and this is my ultimate redirection. So I changed my beliefs, right? So it's the number one, question your beliefs, find out if there's truth to it. Next thing, look at some information and find out what another belief could be. Challenge yourself to reframe it. There's always an opportunity to do that. The next key step is action. Take action. As I mentioned in the example we gave, I asked for help. I told people what I need. I posted on social media. When people would respond and say, how can I help? I'd ask a direct converting question to Froggy on the Elvis Duran show. How can I help? Get me on the show. I knew I wanted to reach a larger audience, right? But I didn't know what I'd say. You don't have to figure the whole thing out yet. Just convert the opportunities in the moment. Take the action steps. Write down the things you're grateful for. Surround yourself with the people that uplift you and keep the negative people away. The third step is knowledge. And this is key. And this is where a lot of people lose it. You might start with, you reframe the beliefs. You've taken the ultimate action steps and now you peter out. Well, the way you're able to endure and sustain this over longer periods of time, which you're probably going to need to, it definitely took me a good couple of years before I started feeling like, okay, I'm figuring out this entrepreneurial thing. I was a rookie. I was like a baby from 0 to 2, like anyone starting all over. And so what sustained me through those types of windows, or when I moved to Saginaw, Michigan, and was miserable living amongst cornfields, working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, the way I would sustain myself is keep focus on your eyes on the prize. Like, what is it? And so for me, I had this big vision of, I'm going to reach and help millions of people. I'm going to make millions of dollars. I'm going to live the life that I want to live and bigger than what I did in corporate America. I'm going to help more people, do more good, be happier. Like, keep your eyes on that big vision that you have. But at the same time, feed your mind, feed your ears, feed your eyes with that which serves you. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of people will challenge the belief, take the action, and then at night they'll go home and start watching murder mystery movies or scary things, stories of people, their life falling apart. They'll start putting themselves in environments with negativity and allowing negative to get into their mind, seep into their mind right before they go to bed. And then suddenly they're not sleeping well at night, right? So I made this conscious effort of, if I'm going to be outside going for a run, which is something I love to do the things you love to do that feed you. I'm going to be listening to a podcast that lifts me up. I'm going to let somebody speak life into me. I'm going to have Brene Brown talking to me about lead with an open heart and go for what you believe in. I'm going to start surrounding myself with my own champions. I don't even know any of them, right? But I know that these are the people that can lead me to the place that I want to go. Never take direction from someone who hasn't been where you want to go. Look to the people who have advanced to where you want to be, and then fill your mind, your ears, your eyes with their TED Talks, with their books, with the information they're providing you. And you literally rewire the way that you're thinking because you're consuming it so much. It becomes your norm. And within a couple of months of doing that, you're like, of course I'm going to succeed. Like, why wouldn't I? I've reprogrammed my mind. I don't allow negativity into my mind. I'm able to do it now, right? I can watch something that I wouldn't necessarily advocate for somebody to do when you're dealing with hardship. I can watch it now and it doesn't really permeate my mind because I've changed the way that I think. I know that's not part of my life, but it really goes back to one, challenging the beliefs, reset them, rewire them, reimagine what they could be, take the action steps necessary to move you forward. And third, keep surrounding yourself with the knowledge of those that you want to access from a very intelligent, thoughtful perspective, not by chance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So amazing. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. Head over to the personal world. We've talked a lot about business today, but one thing that I know to be true about successful women is a lot of times we feel like we're too much. And so whether it's friendships or relationships, it's just really finding that right balance. Like, talk to our audience a little bit about your journey with that and how maybe you've had to set boundaries or standards for that proximity of who you do surround yourself with personally.
Yeah, I personally believe you can never be too much, right? God did not put you on this earth to dim your light. In fact, when you shine your light, you amplify it so others can ignite theirs, so others can see what's possible for them. For a long time, when I was in corporate and I worked side by side with this woman who didn't like me because we worked together for a very long time, I tried to dim my light at one point, and that was an epic fail. And I learned by doing it the wrong way. And so I advocate for this for everyone. People will come to me and say, thank God you wrote your book. It changed my life. Thank you for doing this or that. I don't know, Heather. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. And I'll say, why? Why can you not do that? I don't want to be too much. I know people are going to come and the haters are going to come. And I say, hey, hit the brakes. What if I hadn't written my book? And they're like, no, you had to write yours. Wait a minute. But what person are you going to reach that you don't even realize yet? Stop making it about yourself and start making it about the other people you can help.
Good.
And suddenly it's a lot easier to take that risk and move forward because we all know Sarah Blakely helped me by launching Spanx and becoming a huge success. She planted a seed in my mind that it was possible for me, right? So if she was willing to do that, I need to be willing to do that for the people coming after me. We all need to if we want to make the world a better place, right? So that's one thing that I would say about being too much. I was also just reading a book recently that was saying men and individuals want to be around the strongest woman that they can that still treats them with respect, that still wants help from them. And I thought that was interesting because for a long time when I was in corporate, it was in a very toxic environment with a lot of more feminine men and two extremely strong female personalities, myself and one other woman, the woman that ended up firing me. And when I look back at that environment, I never asked my guys for help. I never, I will always get it done because I wanted to show how talented our whole team was and how, listen, if this is how I'm leading, you better be running right beside me doing the same things. What I was doing was disempowering them and honestly like short selling myself because I'm going to be better the more people I have with me, helping me, helping me grow, filling in for my gaps where no one's perfect in everything, right? Like you could be great maybe at presenting, but maybe my technical skills putting the decks together wasn't as good. I should have been tapping other people to say, I really need you. I need raising my hand. I need your help. I learned this when I got fired. So I would say that oftentimes it's looking at the environment and again, at yourself in the mirror and saying, how can I get better in this situation? What can I do differently? Am I being vulnerable and letting people know that I do need help? Sarah Blakely had a meeting every Friday at Spanx, and it was her oops meeting. And she would lead the meeting each week and say, here's where I failed this week. Here's what chance I took that didn't work out. And then everybody else had to do the same. They created a culture that was innovative, moved fast, and changed and revolutionized an industry because they celebrated failing. And so often the company I worked at, it was not that way. It was always don't surprise us and everything's got to be perfect. So the more you start moving away from that idea that perfection even exists, because it doesn't, the more you move towards, I can't do it all on my own. I'll be a heck of a lot better if we work together. Can you help me? And start sharing your shortcomings. The more people trust you, the more they strengthen and tether their bond to you, the more they want you to win and the stronger leader you become as a result. And then finally, to your question, you also need to have boundaries in place, right? So let's talk about friends. When everyone's at work and you got your work situation going well, and that's great. But then when you're in your personal life, you're feeling drained, then it's to say, you got to pump the brakes again and say, wait a minute. Am I doing the things that I want to be doing outside of work? Number one. Number two, who am I spending time with? And how do I feel before I engage with them? And then how do I feel after I leave them? And when I started doing that analysis, I saw there were some frenemies out there that, would always say to me, oh gosh, why are you still single? This is all you. And, you should be doing this and you should be doing, basically saying, you should be me, like you should, and I'm not them. Right. And I started thinking these people aren't speaking life into me. They're draining my energy. And again, they're not bad people. They wanted me to have their life. But I realized at the end of the day, I didn't want their life. I didn't like the way that they spoke to me. And I suddenly created space and distance. The first thing I would do they'd say like, come over for dinner Friday night. And say, oh, I'm fully booked with plans this weekend, but thanks so much for thinking of me. And the more you start doing that in a kind way, the more you just create a little bit of space, you start feeling better. You start realizing, wait, I feel like I have way more energy now on the weekends since I haven't been around them. And then it became easier, moving forward to say, that's not how I want to spend my weekends any longer.
There have been so many things that you've said, Heather, that have just, ignited my brain. I love the energy audit. That's something that I love to do all the time too. And one thing that is such a common thread amongst GoBundance women is this asking for help. Women don't ask for help as much as they should. And the minute that you let yourself see that that is the thing separating you from the next level, that's when we've seen so many women take off. I'm so glad to hear that that was a catalyst for you too. Kelly, what were a couple things that you took away?
Oh my gosh, hard to narrow it down to a couple. But I think the big thing is like that confidence is created. Like you went through extraordinary situations in which you had to take action. And I love your formula. So hopefully everybody checks out your book. But I think a lot of times we believe like you just came this way. Like that's just who you are rather than it's what's happened to you in your life. And so that was a huge one. And then, I mean, what I really appreciate the most is just the vulnerability that you bring into the world. Like saying, like, I know people listening have probably been fired and they never told anybody. Like they never were able to turn whatever that experience was into something that, makes a big impact. So that was absolutely awesome. But Heather, one thing that we love to do here on the Power Up Your Life podcast and in GoBundance Women is always know, like, how can we support you? How does our audience get a hold of you? How do you support the world with what you offer? And or is there a resource or connection that you're looking for that we could help you on too?
Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you. And I had the best time at your event. So thank you so much for having me out. I'm always speaking all over. You can hire me to speak, heathermonahan.com or at any of the speaker bureaus. My books are all on my website, Confidence Creator, Overcome Your Billions. My podcast, Creating Confidence with Heather Monahan. I've got a mastermind, which you can check out as well at heathermonahan.com. And I'm on all social media at Heather Monahan. Would love to hear from you.
That's absolutely amazing. Well, you have been an awesome guest, and we're just so excited that everybody has, showed up to listen today. Make sure that you share this episode with your friends and get in contact with Heather. I know having her speak to our community was life-changing as well. So if you are interested in really just leveling up your business, head over to powerupyourlifenow.com and we've got everything there for you. So look forward to catching you on the next episode. Thanks, Heather.
See you next week. Thank you.